Hey everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today I am working on a project that has already been a 3-day project. If you've seen it in the background, if you've seen it in previous years, well, I had a bit of a manure problem in the barn. So this is after taking out almost 4 loads of manure. It doesn't look like that much, but I tell you, it is solidly packed. So I had a cow, a calf, and at one point the bull in this pen. And somebody had the great idea to share with me to do deep bedding for winter time. Well, once the bull got in here, it was chocolate. We don't trust him a whole lot, and a bull is a bull. So I stopped cleaning out the pen. I was still adding anywhere from a half to a full bale of straw a day without cleaning it out. So from about March to maybe July, it kept building up. Big mistake. It would have been better to have an outdoor pen area to send him out during the day to be able to clean it. We had started an outdoor pen area, and then the afterthought made us think, well, if we do the outdoor pen here, we weren't going to be able to access our feed room for grinding feed because he had set his corner posts too far out. Rather than change his corner post, he's just decided, hey, we'll just change up the barn and have that outdoor pasture pen built up. So this is a side entryway. It opens out to the east. It's just kind of awkward. It should open out to the south. So we had decided, let's change it up. So we had a storm go through, I think 2 years ago. So this plan has been kind of in the works. And some siding that was attached here was kind of pushing out. We had realized this outer wall was not setting on its foundation the way that it should. So now that I'm doing some manure cleaning out, we're finding out what is going on and what we can do to fix up the barns. Last year we'd worked up in the loft and we had restored parts of the floor that had gone bad. I don't know if you can see that. This is under the loft where we had restored all of those floorboards and replaced them, and there is still some work to be done. So we've been really looking at possibly doing new siding on the barn. This is actually the second siding that the barn has seen, and I don't know if they only did the face of the barn over here. It kind of seems that way because I'm not finding a lot of different wood. It's hard to say. So there's a date stamp in the concrete, which I can't really get to right now because it's beyond here. I've been cleaning this all out. This is almost a whole load of manure that is packed with straw and hay. Some of it has already composted down to dirt in the bottom layers. But look at here. This corner post is not setting on anything. Well, I kind of realized what was going on. They have some poured concrete, and for whatever reason, this area is rocks. So I think they set some big rocks for foundation in the corner posts. I'm not real sure, but this area here has heaved up, and there's nothing underneath it. So we have to pull this out, which isn't a huge deal, hit a hit or two with the sledgehammer, and we're going to frame this in and pour some new concrete in this area. And then when it's all done, oh, that is holding up a lot of weight when that barn loft is full. And I said to him, the sill is pushed out slightly. You can see that there. And what was there is gone. But this corner, this second to the corner post is sitting where it should be, and it's on a foundation, so that's helping it. But with the manure pack, it pushed out the outer wall so the door wouldn't close anymore. And I am just in the mood to do everything we can. And when we first got pigs, this section here, the doors are just not real strong. A pig pushed out and damaged some of this door, and it had already been patched with a strip of wood. So that's going to all come out, hopefully with new doors, a new window to be able to keep the chickens warm, and then I can get back into the chickening that I like to do because the siding is bad here. I've got chicken wire on the inside to keep them safe, but at some point somebody had done a few strips here, and that's as far as they cared to go. So I'm gonna keep it going. It'd be nice to have a good window there for some daylight and a little bit of sunshine in the wintertime, but this is what is going on today. And he is hoping that maybe he's going to park his baler in here by putting in a bit of a ramp and changing up the front of the barn. I think it's a great idea. But unfortunately, after it's all said and done, I will tell you that my boys have been helping me with this a lot. Not all my boys, but Murdoch and Trey have been helping like crazy, and Murdoch spent hours out here. It was just so out of character for him. He's got really bad allergies and the mold spores in here. He was wheezing a little bit last night, but we made sure he showered before bed to get any mold spores or anything off of him, and he's doing fine. But I've got one more pen to do after that, and we're thinking of taking out this whole middle section. This used to be my pig sprout. This was her little rescue pen to keep her separated from the rest of the litter when she was doing poorly. And it has been used as a feed room. It's just been used as a hay storage room. And it's all cleaned out. It's not bad. But the next section over is just as bad as this one was. I don't look forward to it. But thinking of taking out all the dividing walls. There's no support beams in that section for the loft. So real easy to open it wide open and just kind of change things for hay storage. So I've got some hay storage going on in the back, and there's about 300 bales back there. If I clean out his tires and some storage items that are back there, we could probably put in another 150 or so bales back there, but it's really nice to have that, to be able to haul it right out the front door instead of down from the loft for hay sales. So I've got a load of hay. We'd like to get it put away today. He's going to be coming home, and I am expecting him to empty out this manure spreader for me, and then we'll get that load of hay up in the loft and put away before we get any bad weather, because around here it is changing daily. Every other day it is different. So we're just doing what we can to get things done in the meantime. So this was just a nice little project that I thought, I'll just load the manure spreader once. And I think total it's going to be about 6 or 7 loads in the end, but it is good hard work. There's nothing good to do on TV. There's nothing good for the kids to be doing. They spend too much time on the internet as it is, and they like doing this. They think it's fun. They all stand around talking, and we're just getting things done together as a family. It's good, wholesome work, I tell you. So I'll show you how things are kind of coming along as it goes, but this is just kind of a summer project for the whole family. Hopefully we'll get it all done and everything is going to be stored up tight before winter. Well, we had another rainy morning and afternoon here, so I loaded another manure spreader full of manure, and I tell you, I stack it. I don't fill it to the top. It's like double the height of the actual manure spreader when I'm done with it, so that I can get it as packed full as I can. A thunder shower came through and packed it down even more, so I added a little more to it. And you know what's nice about this work? I used to always have a radio on listening to NPR in the barn whenever I was shoveling. And it's odd, but that's the only time I really like to listen to classical music. So it's just peaceful and relaxing, and I'm usually out there by myself. So today the boys were all in the house and I was out there, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna get caught up on some YouTube. I just propped up my phone on a little side beam on a cross member of the barn, and I sat there listening to YouTube videos. It is so nice to catch up on some of my favorites, or just some that I watch here and there, because some videos you have to actually sit and watch them, where a lot of them they're talking and I can just listen to that. That's better than a radio show. Now, he had said those flingers on the back were not original to this manure spreader, that somebody added them. So I'll tell you a trick that we learned about that manure spreader. Make sure when you're shoveling out the barn or using the pitchfork, number one, have lots of different tools with you. I literally have a pickaxe out there for when it's so hard packed. The area that I'm shoveling out right now is such a tangled mess of hay and poop. It's like the day it came out of the cow, and it's been in there for years. So this is the year to get the barn cleaned out. I want to do the siding, do the repairs, do the windows. I've got this whole side section that the windows just kind of are in different heights. They're all busted out. But the main thing is different kinds of pitchforks. I've got a 3-tine, a 4-tine, and a 5-tine pitchfork. I've got a dry pitchfork for doing like horse bedding when it's real dry, if like you're in a sawdust situation. But make sure when you're feeding your animals or giving them bedding that you don't get those strings left in there. And if you do, when you're pitchforking it out, don't get it in the manure spreader, because it gets wrapped around that reel that spreads out the manure in the back. The one time early on when we got it, we didn't know that, so the whole back section was just wrapped full of manure. And if you get long straw, like when we had oat straw, that alone gets tangled around it. It would be really nice to see if we can get any funding to kind of patch up the barn. You know, we had that windstorm last year that ripped off a section here, but we're going to be putting a door in, so it wasn't huge, and we took the loft door off up there. But the windows, all this and that. There goes the new 70. He's babying it so much, he doesn't leave it out at all. But the manure strings. Now, I knew I had let one in, and I can see it. I keep pulling them out and leaving them. But see that? It just gets wrapped right around all of this. And there was that one, and it was on top. It had been raining earlier, so I didn't step out of the barn to go pull it out. So just make sure that you pull your strings out, because when there's 100 of them in there, or if there's 20 of them, it sure seems like 100. It's a mess. But about the barn, you know, we fund all this stuff on our own. I fund it with my little bits of YouTube and selling the maple syrup and the honey. And we have to maintain the buildings that we currently have, at the same time trying to make plans for expanding in the future. So like last year, the year before, I had this all packed in with old hay, pulled it all away, got it cleaned up. I'm getting grapevines up there again, but there's always poison ivy and this other creeping vine that likes to climb here, so we keep this under control. But the animals have had their wear and tear on the inside of the barn. The weather's had its wear and tear on the outside of the barn, and some boards need to be replaced or patched. And all this white trim is all fake. It's just paint. There was no trim around these windows, and the windows inside are actually sitting between the outer siding, just sliding in and out. They're not actually in place, hung on anything, not properly like installed windows. They're actually just spare windows that were removed from like a house a long time ago. You can see it with this one. We couldn't get this one back in right, so it's just sitting there all wonky. But you know, it's looking bad. But the bottom siding here, this is what I want to start working on. There's nothing left to nail onto. Like here, this base frame is rotted and splitting, so we'll take that out and put a new one on with a little bit of stuff. And you know, this is, as far as we know, the second layer of siding. When we had done some work on the inside of the barn, we could see it, and you can see right here, see, they just went right over the top. This would be a good time to be getting that sawmill going so that we can do all these repairs. But the pile is much, much smaller than it was. I think one more loader full and it'll be done, but I don't think I'm going to do it today. I actually took a break because of the rainstorm and took a shower. But look at that. And you know, it doesn't look like that much, but it went to here, and I just worked over to here, and then I started from here over to here, and we didn't work on it this weekend. We thought we'd be done with it on Sunday. We got busy, and I don't think we worked on it Saturday or Sunday. So today's Monday, and we're getting it done. But all this, all new wood, fix up the corner. After I got further over today, see, when I started this morning, it was here, and to get to there, And from this post to here, I just kind of went around a circle in the pile. I was able to take some framing out that was here. The little birds that were up there had moved out. I think their mom got so scared because I was in here so much that she finally took them out. Their little nest was down on the bedding and all kind of crumbled apart. So I think this little pear is going to be a slightly bigger job than maybe what I thought. I'm not real sure. I think it was actually, I don't know, it looks like it was patched once before because of this seam here. And I noticed back here, this is an odd thing and I don't know why, maybe you do, there's a board going in the middle of the concrete. And they like corrugated this, I'm assuming, so that the cows wouldn't slip as they went out this front entrance. I'm not real sure. So if any of you old timers watching this know all about this, tell me why. Tell me why this is all marked with lines like this. I mean, this is right down into the concrete. It's like they just took like a rake and made it rough over the surface. So I'm assuming that was why. Now, we were told that this whole front section of the barn was originally pig stalls. And they had, on the inside part, taken boards all up and down so that they weren't pushing on the barn siding, that they had their own inner stall against that. So, you know, you can see here where it's pushed out. That wall's got to come in. And, like, this is how far it's off. And this is from the manure being packed against, see, here's my side footings right here. So this wall needs to come in like 12 inches. It's pushed out that much. But there was no post here. There was just this 2x6 going down, and it wasn't even nailed up. So it goes from that post to this post for this whole corner of the barn. Right here, I can definitely see a slope in that first and second board, where the third one here is more like a tree. It's round, and it is straighter across. Oh, yeah, see, I can see, even though that is sitting like that, it's not even touching this side beam here because that side is dropped down and out. So much work to do. But that's the inside of the manure spreader. You see we got some repairs to do there too. A piece of it got caught up in the chain and snapped, but I just put some big chunks over the top of that and fill it in. A vinyl type false floor would fix that situation where it just slides right in between the two layers. And I've heard of people using shower stall material, so I'm gonna look into that to do sometime too. But you know, we get by with what we've got. So I'm gonna go see if the boys feel like shoveling manure, because they're good at it. They're doing real good, and you just give them lots of praise. It never ever ends around here. Once you get one project done, it's time to get on to the next. So, part 2 of the barn. This stall was already cleaned out. We had used this as a pig pen. We'd used it as a feed stall. PVC pipe up there is coming directly from our hammer mill. It would hit the wall and go down to the side and fall down and just leave a great big pile. The trouble with that was that there was no closed storage. So we would either have to shovel it into bins to keep the animals out of it, or use it up very, very fast. In lieu of doing things better, we've decided that we rerouted it so that pipe can come out of there, and we started grinding our feed directly into a gravity wagon. So now this is my next project. I've got this stall to clean out, and yes, it's that high. Never, ever, ever again will I do that. So the concept of deep bedding for winter is that, number one, they're off the concrete floor, so they have some cushion and padding. But I had been cleaning out the pen like every day, a little at a time, and at least once or twice a week, completely. The cow and the calf were in here, and the cow that was in here was super skittish. She didn't want anything to do with us, so she would go round and round and round trying to get away. She would get the calf upset, so the calf would get away from us. So something had happened with me, and I couldn't get in there, and I'm sure it was well before George. Maybe I was pregnant. So I didn't get in here, and I wasn't taking any chances. So now to get it cleaned out, the livestock gate is manure packed in there, and it's an old gate. So we actually had to sawzall the gate to get her out and build up the floor on the outside of the pen as a ramp. Here's my trouble. Walk through door here, the open part of the barn there, and this is the part that's going to get refaced. So I've only got this much space, and I cannot get this out short of sawzalling it more. And I was kind of hoping on saving it, but I don't know if it's worth saving. I don't know. Anyways, I thought equipment storage or hay storage. This is patched up walls. There's no structural beam supports here, like I said. A little bit. Like there's one here in the middle. Everything else is just kind of slapped together. Not real solid stuff. Either way, I'm going to open it up. So I started taking this out here. We were told this was a horse stall at some point. Maybe they came in here at night. It's very small. It is probably, I don't know, 6 feet wide and maybe 10 feet deep. I don't know. What do you think? Well, it was fine for 1 or 2 pigs. We had 2 growing pigs that we had in here until they got too big. So anyways, this is what I'm working on. It's always something, like I said. Here we go. Go in the back. Oh, this is wet grass.
Oh, man. Are we going into this?
No. No. Yeah, they're growing. Yeah.
This one is all the way red.
Yeah, but they're so small they're not juicy yet.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That one looks just like a pear. That one does too.
That's right. Do you know you have a pear tree over there? There's a pear tree over there that has pears on it. Mm-hmm. Go look. That next tree right there. Mm-hmm.
That one.
You like that big green apple?
Yeah.
That's pretty big, isn't it?
You see how smooth they are.
Oh, yeah, they're smooth.
Let me see a one.
They're not ready to pick yet. Ooh, look at how big this one is.
That's one right next.
It's huge.
I know.
But they would be sour right now.
Sour by now. Oh, Mommy?
No, not sour by now. They're sour right now because they need the rest of the summer to sweeten up.
Oh, Mommy?
Hmm.
Can you please hang this up somewhere else for me?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll tell the boys to put it back up.
Hi, Trey. Want to come check on the apples? Come look at the apples.
Oh no,
Come look at them.
it doesn't like those bumps.
Come look at the apples.
So when I said I get it pretty full, this is generally almost as high as I get it. I was getting a little tired and baby woke up from his nap, so I had to stop. But usually I stack that up another 2 or 3 feet. But you can see here what I did. I found a beam here in the center. It's actually already sistered up on either side of the beam. I could see that the bottom was a little bit chewed up, probably from animals and whatnot. So we didn't want to take out those, and I see that the sistering beam is holding up the lower section of this beam. Hi. And see that notch there? That was notched out for like a 2x6. I don't want to take anything out that I don't have to. So I stopped here and I wanted to check with the guy to find out for sure what he intended with this wall, because I don't want the barn so open and drafty if we ever want to do cattle panels in here for pens. But these closed stalls are the absolute worst for ventilation. I think in general for the overall health of animals, the open panel stalls are a lot better way to go. So we're just deciding that we want to change all that up. And I noticed the way that they put the boards on in some places, like this was a feed room. And we knew that because we kind of asked around with the neighbors, but there was a chute right up here going up to the loft, and they had their corn cellar up there. Maybe some kind of a grinder, and they would feed that right down to this area. And they had roofing tar paper all over the sidewalls of this, but I don't know if you can see it from here. On this corner, it's tacked on the inside of the pen. Right there at the bin point, it is tacked on the outside of that 2x6 or 2x4. And then they filled it in with some metal so that nothing would leak out. And then they did it again. They tacked it in on one side and then on the inside corner on that side. So they just kind of pieced it all together. None of this is structural. And you know, trying to get rid of this kind of barnwood on Craigslist should be really easy with the amount of people that are always asking for barnwood. But of course they want it for free. And I can just as easily not mess with pulling the nails and just get it out of here. I can throw it bit by bit into my burning barrel. I can throw it into the big burning pile out by the creek. One of these days we'll have a roaring fire back there. But this is the progress I made so far. It is time for me to take a break for dinner. Baby has woke up from his afternoon nap, so it's time for me to quit. Hi! Look at him. He is having a busy morning. He has been helping his dad in the shop doing stuff. He went and found a towel, and he is wiping down his tractor. Good job. You're taking good care of it. You're doing such good work. I am so proud of you for taking care of your tractor. Yes. Here's a little factoid for you. This tractor is about 12 years old, and it was Jack's first tractor, and he got it when he was about a year and a half old for Christmas, and it was stored at his grandma's house. So he only ever rode it when he went over there to visit, and they had to charge it for a day ahead of time, so it always had to be like planned out. And Trey really wanted it over here because he's got the next size up tractor and they can ride together, but Trey barely fits on his because it's more for like 5-year-olds. Good job. You gonna go take care of it now? Okay. Little guy's been getting his tractors out and doing work this morning, and after he wiped it down, I realized he had washed it and then he was drying it. Now he's gone ahead and he's lined himself up for the manure spreader, and yesterday he was pulling this snow sled with his pedal tractor to use this as a manure spreader. He's so smart.